Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another version of the Lawrence History Project. My name is Mark Palermo. With me here today is Mr. Joe Bella, Lawrence historian and aficionado of all things historical in the area. And today we're going to be looking at Lawrence. We're going to put just a hodgepodge of all kinds of images and just let Joe run with them. My wife tells me I talk too much. And she says, let your guests talk a little bit more, okay? Don't crowd everybody out. So we're going to let Joe talk because we're going to get started.
Yeah, but you do a good job.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
I was a college instructor for 40 years.
Right.
So I'm accustomed to being in front of people and accustomed to addressing people. So, but what I really learned about was raising 4 kids. That was more of an education than anything.
That's a challenge.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Oh, you recognize that, Joe? That's South Lawrence.
Yes.
And I think you can just see, well, you'll see where you are in the next photo, okay?
Yeah,
That's South Lawrence. Those train tracks, I think if you're at the Salem Street Bridge, the tracks are still there. The buildings are gone, most of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's the old train station, too.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a train station back then.
No,
Here he
that's
is.
the same place.
Yeah.
And in the background,
Yeah.
you see that?
St. Patrick's
That's
Church.
St. Patrick's Church. Can you tell who's on that train?
Yeah.
That's Mr. Theodore Roosevelt,
Theodore
President
Roosevelt.
of the United States.
He was running for office, and I think he was running for president.
Look at that, huh?
Yeah.
President of the United States. Oh,
Lawrence, Mass.
Or he was campaigning.
Yeah.
Lawrence, Mass.
And that's the old train station on South Broadway.
Yeah, that's gone, isn't it?
Oh, God, they tore that down in 1931.
Oh, yeah.
They took that down in 31. And there are 2 sections. One section of tracks heads west. I think that goes to Lowell. And then the other section would be north toward New Hampshire and Maine.
The tracks are still there.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
They are still there, yeah. Yeah. Some were removed over the years, though, in the city.
Oh, yeah.
Some had been removed. But that section is still there, primarily. Except, again, the building was taken down in 31.
Oh, Merrimack Park. This is actually in Methuen, but Methuen is your expertise, too. Would you tell the story of this, Joe? Merrimack Park.
Merrimack Park, yeah, and huge amusement park on the Lowell Boulevard. That's the section of Lowell Street, later Boulevard.
Route 110. Now it's now called. They used to call it the Lowell Boulevard.
Right, heading toward Dracut. Heading west would be Dracut. So Merrimack Park, that basically started around about the turn of the century, and the trolleys actually brought the people back then to that particular location. And then across the street was Royal Feast potato chips.
The delicious potato chips.
And
Remember
I think
those?
the building's for sale now.
Yeah,
It's on the market. But across the street from that was the Royal Feast. Now, Merrimack Park was quite a large facility. Large, as you can see in the picture, they had a huge roller coaster. They had a carousel. And they also had dancing contests every weekend. And I have a beautiful picture of 4 winners who won. And pictures are taken inside the facility, the dancing location on that property. The park functioned until around 1934, and then in 1933, 34, there was a hurricane hit.
Oh, okay.
And it affected a lot of that
is
the
that
area.
right?
Yeah, and then the flood.
The flood took it out completely.
The flood.
Was that 38?
38
Yeah,
was the flood.
yeah.
36 was the hurricane, 36. And it did some damage, but then the flood totally ruined the location. And they had to close.
I think it's still an empty lot.
There's nothing there now.
It's up near the National Guard Armory. If you know the Route 110, it's up near the National Guard Armory on the opposite side, a little past, going towards Lowell. Now, this, you didn't recognize this at first when you saw this, right?
Well, see, you can look at the middle. In the middle of the picture, you can see like there's a tower with an eagle on top. That's
Oh, yeah, that's in the back.
Lawrence,
That's the Bay State building. That's the original Bay State building.
the location, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess they tore that down and they built
Right,
the current Bay State building.
right. And then they built it in 1913 or 14. They added the right-hand side. You'll see the extra windows
Oh, yeah.
on the right side of the base. They made it larger. But this Lawrence City Hall is in the background, the tower,
yeah,
the City Hall. And that's the only original structure of the original City Hall when it was first built.
Yeah.
That's the only structure that's still remaining of the original structure, that tower.
Okay.
And the eagle, of course, has been removed. Hurricane Carol took it down in 1956. It was at an angle. It kind of broke off, and they replaced it with what the locals had called the pigeon, because it was smaller.
Oh, okay.
It was smaller than this size here.
Pigeon.
So they called it the pigeon.
Ah, you recognize her.
Yeah, famous actress.
It's coming through Lawrence. I
Yeah.
think that was during the World War II.
Dorothy Lamour.
Dorothy Lamour. She's famous for
Yeah.
all her pictures with Bob Hope.
Bob Hope.
Remember that?
Yes,
She was a big name, very,
Yeah.
very famous
Yeah.
in those days. Household name.
right. And she came to Lawrence.
You know, she looks better there than she does in the
I
picture.
know,
looks
she
great
does.
there, doesn't
Yeah,
she?
she looks really young,
Yeah,
youngish.
Yeah.
Yeah, war bonds.
Well, we all have our good years and our bad years.
Yeah.
Nobody getting any younger here, Joe.
Well, more or less.
Now, we all know that is on the right. That's
Yeah.
JFK, John F. Kennedy.
JFK, right.
Do you recognize the one in the middle?
Yeah, that's isn't that the governor's wife?
No, that's Margaret Truman.
Oh, that's
Remember President of the United
Truman's
States,
wife.
Harry Truman's wife? And the one on the left was Thomas Lane.
Thomas
He was
Lane.
he was congressman.
Congressman Lane, yeah.
Is that the one that got elected from a jail cell?
Yes.
He got elected
Yes.
while he was in jail.
Jail. Yeah. Sort of what happened to one of the mayors in Boston. Curley. Curley also did as well. But yeah, that's Truman had visited Lawrence, and I do have a picture of them riding in a car from the train station going over the Central Bridge. Mayor Buckley was in the front seat, and then
Oh, I'd love to see that picture.
Kennedy was in the middle,
Oh, man.
and Truman was sitting next to the governor. It was quite a interesting
Oh, I
picture.
got to see that sometime.
Yeah, that's
wow.
my collection.
Joe's collection is amazing.
A little bit.
His home is like a museum. I don't know, this one evokes a lot of memories for me because I worked in the mills myself as a college student, summers and stuff. And oh my God, you go in at 8 o'clock, you look at the clock, you're working at an old shoe machine. Jesus, if the weather was good, you go outside and take a break. Oh, it's like a bat out of hell. It felt so good.
Yeah. The mills.
Look at them there. They're outside taking a lunch break.
Yeah. Wow.
That looks like it's on Canal Street. That's up
It
near
is.
Marston Street. Yeah.
Right. There's a small
Building might even still be there. I don't know.
possibly, yeah. The bridge.
Yeah.
And there's several bridges. One of those bridges is on the back of, located at Merrimack College.
Oh, yeah.
They removed one
And they moved the whole bridge and they moved it.
to back in Merrimack.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now, Lawrence had well, you talk about air pollution.
I know. Yeah.
Lawrence had a pulp mill.
Yeah.
It's the Oxford paper mill.
Oxford
Remember that?
paper.
Now, Lawrence had the distinction of having a pulp mill, paper pulp mill,
Yeah.
downtown. And on the other side of town, they had Malden Mills.
Right.
So depending on which way, do you remember the air pollution in those days?
Every summer, because we lived on Fulton Street,
God.
and when the windows were
Yeah.
open, every summer we'd smell that paper
That
stuff.
sickly sweet.
Right in our window.
Well, I lived more in the central, depending on the wind.
Yeah.
We'd get it from Malden Mills, all its chemical solvents.
Right.
Or if it was blowing the other way, the wind was blowing, we'd get the pulp mill
Yeah.
smell.
I was also, in this picture, I was always fascinated to see a house on top of these.
Isn't there?
Well-
And that lasted up until about 10 years ago. Remember?
Right, yeah.
It lasted and lasted. I said,
Yes.
my God, when are they going to take that thing down?
Right, it was.
It was the most Yeah,
was a landmark.
incongruent and surreal.
It was a landmark.
Yeah, it really was. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, Lawrence High School.
This is the original Lawrence High School. And where was this, Joe?
This would be located where the present Oliver School is. That's
Oh, okay.
now being rebuilt,
Yeah.
by the way. But where the Oliver School is, this was there. But the Oliver School was a small brick building, and you can't see it here, but it's to the left of
Yeah.
this photo in the background. But this was the high school until they built the new high school around 1907, 08.
Yeah.
And then this was a storage. The city used this for storage.
Oh my God,
primarily.
using that for storage.
And then
Nowadays, it would be unthinkable.
And then it caught fire. It had a fire, and
yeah.
they took it down
Yeah,
completely.
yeah. Yeah.
First high school.
It's abandoned and naturally gets on.
Yeah.
But,
It's
you know,
gone.
you're in Europe or something, this would be unthinkable to take
And
things
the
like that
common,
down.
if you're looking at it right now, where you're standing, where the trees are, that's the Lawrence Common. The North
Oh,
Common.
okay, yeah.
Then later, the
Oh, I get it.
Campione Memorial
Oh,
Common.
okay.
Campione Brothers.
Elegant building, huh? Now, this is, you recognize this street?
Yeah, yeah.
The Bradford Street.
Bradford, and then Broadway is further up.
You know, I had a conversation with an elderly policeman. He had been a policeman in Lawrence right through the 40s, 50s, and 60s. He said Bradford Street was full of rooming houses for old alcoholic, syphilitic men. Of course, in those days, if you got syphilis, that was like getting AIDS. It was like before they had penicillin or something, you just waste away.
Right.
He said elderly alcoholic men and syphilitic men and all kinds of ne'er-do-wells. And this was in, you know, even in the 60s, most of these buildings were still up. A lot of rooming houses. There's a lot. I remember there's a lot of drug addicts down there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heroin addicts. Lawrence had a lot of heroin problems in the 60s,
Oh, yeah.
and they took them all down.
Right.
And
Urban renewal.
yeah, well, you know what? We wax sentimental over a lot of these old buildings, but I don't feel that way about that. That everything needed to be taken
Yeah,
down. It was
definitely.
just ugly, nasty, bad vibes.
Oh, boy.
Oh my God! I remember some of the meals I had here. Wow, huh?
The Odar Room.
Oh,
I missed
my
that.
goodness.
I missed that place terribly.
Did our friend Gloria dance at the Odor Room? I imagine she did.
Probably.
We're trying to track down Gloria.
Oh, I found a picture. I told you.
Oh, okay.
But I lost it.
When you it's somewhere when you
I've
find it.
got
We're
it.
trying to find her. Okay,
Yeah.
if she's still with us, we'd like to know about her.
Right.
She'll probably be getting up there pretty,
But
in age, in years.
But the way Bishop's was, as popular as it was, if you went to Boston back then and you said, "Oh, have you ever been to Bishop's Restaurant and Lounge?" Oh, of course.
Oh,
That's a popular place. In Boston, a lot of people knew of Bishop's in Lawrence.
The prime rib
Yeah.
was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You know, the best prime rib of my whole life
Yeah.
was in there. And you know what? Even if you're a vegan, they didn't have many vegans in those days. One of the things they had was amazing was a salad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, what a salad.
And French fries.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, they were the old school,
Yeah.
and they really knew how to cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bishops.
Bishops.
Yeah.
Yeah, sports stars, millionaires,
Yeah.
movie stars,
Yeah.
athletes coming from Boston. Do you have
Mercy meals. They always took care of mercy.
Oh, yeah.
meals.
Yeah, they were very,
I
very
went to
fine.
several there.
Did they? Yeah.
Yeah.
They were very kind people, very
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
This lasted right up until the late 60s, early 70s.
The
What a
second
shame.
Lawrence Police Station.
Yeah, until they built another one, yeah.
Then the third, but the second, the first
French-
one was in the same site. There was a
Yeah.
Victorian Square wooden building
Oh, yeah.
on that site. Then they took that down and built this building, yellow brick.
What a shame.
They
Take
took
that thing down.
Yeah.
They took it down to make a parking lot.
Parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
Common and Lawrence Street.
Yeah, yeah.
Southwest
Yeah,
corner.
yeah. Beautiful building. Now, this is the Saunders block. I don't know anything about this. This came from the Lawrence Archives. Do you know anything about this? Does this look familiar to you?
Yeah.
It says the Saunders block.
It's on Essex Street. I'm pretty sure that's on Essex. But I think,
It's long gone, whatever it is.
yeah. You know what I think?
Again, that mansard style was very common
Yeah.
in the late 19th century.
Right, and the tower section too was pretty
Yeah.
decorative. Some places they use clocks. They put clocks up there, but that one doesn't have a clock.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not familiar, but I have to check at
Saunders
home. But
block, yeah.
yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think that was on on Essex Street, sort of before. Let's see. I think that would be behind the City Hall. And so City Hall would be across the street to the right.
Okay.
And I think the City Hall was to the right in that area. And then that was either totally removed or they kept the section on the right-hand side. They might have kept that piece still there now, but the middle and the left, I think they took that down as a parking lot. That's what I'm thinking of. Then the Merchants National Bank they put on the left of that. They built that on the left, and then I think it's a small street there.
Okay.
That's the section I'm thinking. The right-hand section is still there. The right-hand piece they left. If
Okay.
that's
You remember this?
Parker, is it a Parker House?
The Parker.
Parker House. The wall, see the brick wall that you see in the corner? There's still a piece on the right-hand side on the back of the building that's still there.
This is where the Lawrence Library is right now.
Yep, the new Lawrence Library, we call it. And the high school across the street.
I think we have another picture of it here. Here they're knocking it down. This one really was an elegant building. My God, it was just filled with majesty.
Right.
Who built this, Joe? Was this? Did you say there was a doctor that built this?
Dr. Parker. He was a physician.
They call
Yep.
He obviously had elegant taste. It had intricate.
He could afford it too. As being a doctor too. Also,
Look at that.
They made the money.
It was intricate brickwork and stonework. And even as a kid, I would walk by that and I would be filled with awe. It was just a magic place. And
it seems unbelievable that they actually took it down, because usually brick buildings were maintained and kept standing.
Well, at the end, I think they were just using it as a rooming house.
Right.
And this was before they started valuing stuff and saying, let's see if we can say, if it could have hung on another 10 years, it would probably still be here.
But again, only the small brick wall is still there on the back.
A shame. Oh, well, you should know about this.
Oh, yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
I was there. It was like, when was I? 1950 something, 53.
You can see Pappy's. This is the feast, by the way, the Feast of the Three Saints.
Yeah.
It's been over 100 years they've been having this.
Last year was 100.
100,
Last year, yeah.
And Joe's involved with the
A little bit, yeah.
little committee. I don't know exactly what your role is, but I know
I'm the-
Joe and Tom Delisle, who's
I'm
not
the
here with us today.
Feast raffle guy.
Uh-huh.
You buy tickets from me.
Okay.
Feast raffle.
You'll see Pappy's Bakery there before they built the
Yeah.
newer ones.
Yeah.
You know, my father would have been 104 years old if he was still with us, but
Wow.
he said his mother used to send him over there to buy bread, 5 cents.
Pappy's, yeah.
5 cents.
Yeah.
Pappy's Bakery. That's
And behind the Vada, they call it the Vada with the saints are on the back, there's the orchestra is playing, and I think my uncle, Sam Ravella, was playing the horn with the Pontiac Club.
Oh, okay.
And they had, their band,
Yeah.
and that band was used in each of the feasts. But I think my uncle was in that picture playing a horn, because they had the outfit on, the hat, and everything.
In those days, it was primarily an Italian festival.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people all the generations and all ethnic groups attend, because there's more of a interest in diversity and intercultural activities. But in those days, it was pretty much an Italian thing.
Yeah.
And it's 100 years still going.
Brought over from Sicily.
Yeah. To celebrate 3 martyred saints.
Yep.
You recognize that?
Yeah, that looks like Lawrence Street.
That's Lawrence Street near the. It looks almost exactly the same,
Yeah.
minus the tracks
Right.
and minus the little store on the left. It could be taken almost today.
Because the larger building's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole street is lined with those bungalow styles that they popular in the 1910s and 20s.
I remember when my parents would hold my hand when I was really young, walking by the tracks. They were still there at the time. My toe would get stuck in the middle.
Oh gosh.
In the middle of the middle opening. My toe would get
Yeah.
stuck right in there all the time.
I grew up right around there. I was born in Lowell, but we moved to Lawrence when I was 5. And we lived like a block away from there, so I know that very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, except for the tracks are gone.
No, looking at this, you say,
Yeah.
is this old London?
I know it.
Is this Bavaria before the
It
war?
looks European.
Is this, is this Czechoslovakia in the 1950s?
Yeah.
What is it? And it is
The northwest corner of Common and Lawrence Street.
Common and Lawrence Street.
Right.
Right now there's a bus depot there.
Buckley.
Buckley bus
Transportation,
depot. It's all, they've all taken this out. But it lasted. And there's another picture of it following this. Could we see the next one, please? There we go. Here's another view, so you can place it more easily.
Yeah.
Up on the left-hand side, up a couple of buildings, is the YWCA and the YMCA.
Yeah.
And they took that building down in the late 60s with urban renewal.
Yeah. But the large building, the 4-story building is still there. It's the apartment building.
That's right.
That's still
That's
there.
right. Wow. Beautiful example of some kind of European, obviously inspired by old world Europe.
Yeah. I think that's stucco. That material is stucco.
Yeah. Do you remember, Tom Delisle was telling me they used to have a big hunk of like a 500-pound boulder of anthracite coal in the window. Do you remember that?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Coal. Wow.
Old Lawrence.
Yeah. Oh,
Now here's a typical picture of
yeah.
some mill girls.
Right.
And you know, Joe, you'll notice one thing. You can tell by the body language that a lot of the girls are close with one another. They have allies and friends.
Mm.
I was thinking about this. You know, my father told me, he said, you know, the mills, he worked in the mills. He says, there's a lot of politics, a lot of danger, a lot of backstabbing.
Yeah.
And you just couldn't just be by yourself. You needed allies and friends.
Right.
And you can see how close the friendships were. Some of them are embracing. And you can tell just by the looks on their faces,
Right.
the body language that,
You notice that there's not much of a smile, not many faces that are smiling. And I heard one major reason was their teeth were so bad, they didn't want people to see.
yeah, it could be too.
Yeah, that's why they didn't smile.
yeah,
They just
yeah.
had a straight face at the time. Their
But
teeth were-
you don't see people look broken and bored
no.
like you do nowadays. So many
Yeah.
broken people, broken lives,
Yeah.
bored people, you know, discontent, restless.
Right, right.
You know, their lives were hard, but they had alliances.
Yeah.
And they had
they were
most of them
they
had
were
families
close.
and
Yeah, they were
friendships.
close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Now, I took this because there's a mixed group. But you look in the front row, some of them are really kids. There's a couple of
young,
kids in
I
there. They look
know.
like no more than 10,
Yeah.
11 years old.
Wow.
And if you go back far enough, they had kids 6 and 7 years old in the mills.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until people got pretty disgusted with it and
Yeah.
did something about it.
Right.
And they
They're
did
too
away with
young,
that stuff.
Yeah, way too young.
Way too young, should have been
Yeah.
in school.
Right.
And you know, a lot of them died of black lung. What do they call it? Woolen lung.
Yeah.
Woolen lung.
Yeah.
Their inside of their lungs
Yeah.
got coated with wool,
Yeah.
and the lungs don't clean themselves easily.
No, they're too young to. Yeah.
Died of woolen lung, probably a form of emphysema.
Right.
It's too bad.
Poor
Poor farm. You know, in the old days, don't forget they didn't even have Social Security,
No.
no welfare, no EBT cards, no social welfare agencies. If you're poor, you know, you had to depend on your family. If you didn't have a family, if you outlived them,
Yeah.
they put you here.
Right.
But there's no laying around, okay? If you were able-bodied, they'd have a farm there.
Right.
And you were expected to work on the farm. You expected to do whatever you could. Life was hard in those days, but, you know, a poor farm. They had one in Methuen, didn't they?
Well, there was an earlier poor farm, and that was named primarily for the family named Poor, P-O-O-R-E.
Oh, okay.
And they had a farm near the same vicinity.
Uh-huh.
So there was a little bit of a confusion came about when they named this the Poor Farm, because for Methuenites,
Oh, that was the guy's name. Poor.
right, Poor, yeah. There was another farm. I think it was East Havel Street, though.
Yeah.
A little to the left, further to the left more, And they were there since the 1700s.
Yeah,
The Poors. And they did have a farm, and it was called the Poor Farm.
The Poor Farm.
But it wasn't this farm. This is Lawrence. That was Methuen.
Well, poor farms.
Yep.
We could probably do a whole episode on poor farms.
I know it.
Let's get a couple more here before we have to sign off here. It's getting late here. Program. Oh, this is our friend Mr. Bonji.
Oh.
Remember Bonji's place?
Market.
And you can just barely see
Wow.
Malukis in the winter. He used to sell Malukis. Remember that?
Yeah.
The Malukis come from the Italian mal. Mal means evil. Occhio is eye. Malukio. And of course,
Malukis.
did you ever have to wear one of these? Did your grandparents ever get you a Maluki?
No, what was that?
It looks like a red horn. And sometimes I think they fill it with garlic.
Yes, I've seen it. I never have it myself.
It wards off evil entities
My family,
and so forth, curses.
Some of my family members had like a horn, the red.
The red horn. Yeah. The old timers used to.
Yeah, I didn't need to.
Yeah, well, my parents, my parents consider that really too old school.
Yeah, exactly.
So, let's have another one. Again, we see those mansard homes. This is Methuen Street.
Oh.
And if you look down the end, Joe, you see the mill?
Yeah.
What's the name of that mill? It's still there.
Is that the Everett?
The Everett Mill. Yeah, it's still there. Yeah.
Oh.
So they cleared all these buildings out.
Yeah, they're all gone. Yeah. Urban renewal. Renewal.
Yeah. It's too bad.
Yeah.
Like the south end of Boston, they kept them up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're building exactly like that in the south end. And it really looks cool.
Yeah.
Because, but they just didn't have the mentality back then.
No.
And they were offering stipends to cities to knock down buildings. So what do you think is going to happen when they offer money?
Yeah, they'll use it. They use it.
Knock down everything.
Yeah.
Everything you can find.
Cobblestones.
Yeah. Oh,
Before hot top.
Let's go for one more. I think we're going to have to wrap it up. Oh.
And that looks like the wood mill, isn't it?
I think that's the Everett.
Oh, is it?
I think that's the Everett. It looks like I don't know. Oh, yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah, because see the fence?
Yeah,
There's
that's
a fence
right.
there, and that's the wood mill.
Now I see policemen.
Yeah.
Now, the history of Lawrence.
Could it be
People, if they don't know any better, they think there was just a strike in 1912.
Wow, yeah.
But the history of Lawrence is tons of strikes. Every 2 or 3 years there's a strike. And here we have police officers just probably, my guess, they're just keeping an eye on things.
1919 was a pretty good size.
Oh, yeah, 1922.
Yeah.
But finally, the mills just get fed up with it, and they just went down south.
Yeah, they left.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the old...
the textile industry thrives on cheap labor.
Yep.
There's really not jobs for
And the largest mill in the world when it was open.
Yeah.
The largest mill in the world.
The wood mill.
Yeah.
I heard it was the longest building in one.
Yeah.
The longest, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big operation.
Back then. Yeah.
Well, I think that brings us to a close. Joe, I think I want to thank you for being here. We're looking forward to many, many more episodes of the Lawrence Film Festival. Lawrence Film Festival. Wrong thing. I'm getting a little tired here. Lawrence History Project. So those of you out there viewing us, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
I want to thank Cassie.
Thank you,
and
Cassie.
Erin.
Yeah.
And at the HC Media.
Yeah.
If you have a project, they're really great people to work with. They simplified things for you.
Right.
Well, also thanks goes out to the Lawrence Archives, have been so helpful for us. Yeah. So that's it, everybody. Thank you. Be well. So long.